Okay, next I want to make employee update work. So when we hit save, right now we're printing the array. We just printed the array and verified that everything is cool. If there are any errors, and these are PHP errors we're talking about here, we don't anticipate any. During the break, I did take a look through that function real quick. If we look at the employees, these are cases, so I need the employees. Here's the validation function. The first thing it says is create an array of errors, some constants. If the JavaScript validated is false, my JavaScript is on. Okay. Plus, from our perspective, all the HTML5 is taking care of everything else. If we got somebody who's got JavaScript off and not using HTML5, then too bad. It's getting to the point where we can say that. I don't work at eSpace, so I don't have to make sure that, first of all, the kids who are probably using the eSpace app, the eSpace webpage, probably all have their browsers updated using Chrome and all that good stuff. Some old guy who's into eSpace tennis shoes using an old browser someplace might be an issue. Pardon me?
It's probably calling.
Probably calling in anyways, that's true. So anyways, most of this we don't need. This is just redundant validation for what's inside of my JavaScript. So I'm going to blow right by it. The only thing to watch for is that notice that we format and unformat stuff. And this is the one thing that I still think is left over, and I hope by next week to have an answer for you on whether we can even push this to the form using Ajax, which is really just JavaScript, to run a query real quick, give me an answer. How many records do you have in a database that have these logical key fields? If the answer is 0, everything's cool. If the answer is 1, we throw up an error message saying this one's already in the database. So for right now, there's nothing there. So for right now, whenever we validate, the answer is always true because JavaScript is false. So this returns the errors array, which we then evaluate and say it's empty. All right, so that's not going to cause us any problems right now. So going back to my employee cases, this is where we were. I'll leave the validation in there for right now. If the count of errors equals 0, that's how many elements are in the errors array. If the number of errors is 0, then this is where we now want to insert our, well, insert as in typing, my update employee call. I'm not sending anything in. I really don't need to. I need the request array because my request array's got, we saw it, we printed it just a minute ago, it's got everything off of my form, including the hidden variables and everything that I need. Since it's global, super global, there's really no reason for me to pass it to this function. I don't need to pass the ID because that's inside the array. Everything I need is inside the array, so I think this is the right way to do this. So I need a function to do that, and for right now, I'm just going to say echo save complete. And if that's all I see on the screen, then I'm good. Probably should make an SQL error in here once just to see what it looks like. All right, so now back to the employees model. I can delete, I can get, I can validate. I now want to update. That record. Once again, my query is going to be very similar to the other queries. I do want to steal one that's got a parameter though. Might not need all of this, but it won't hurt. Copy it, get the heck out of the way again, paste everything inside of here. Need my global DB. That's the part if I don't copy and paste, I always forget that. The query, that's not right. Some of it is. Let's do this. Update TBL employees. Where the employee ID equals the employee ID, that's still true. Now I'm going to use the entire request array. So to make my life a little easier here, I'm going to extract it. Remember, that turns my array into a bunch of variables with the field names as the keys and the values as the values. What do I want to do? Update the fields that have changed, right? No. You have to. Sensing which fields are different, it's a waste of time. So we have to do an if statement, we have to keep track of which one is current, all that kind of stuff. Which field changed is very hard to sense. So the easy answer is the same answer we had in Visual Studio, just update every single field. So I now have to go through my field list of employees, and now I wish I had a second screen. I want to set the employee ID, that's the key. Can I change it? Yes, that's going to get, it's not, well, if it's a student ID number, not likely. So for right now, we'll leave that one out. What do I have? I forget.
That one
Just
can't
run
change
it.
because that's the one you're selecting by.
True, but I can capture the old one. Okay. And I don't think it's there yet, but it is later on in my steps. We are going to add a hidden variable called org ID. It keeps track of the original ID, and so we can use that in our where clause instead of the emp ID. That's coming next. For right now, we're just going to update. You want to come in? Pause. So we'll take care of this employee ID later. For right now, we'll leave it out. It's easy to add. So the next one is first name, and I'm guessing I capitalized all these right, so I want to set the first name equal to a parameter. Everything is parameterized. And I always give the parameters the same name as the fields. Comma. And
Could you
remember,
explain again the significance of the semicolon?
the semicolon or the colon?
Colon.
The colon is simply a parameterized query syntax. Okay, we're using these prepared queries that generate statements. This colon, once we insert this query into that statement, that class says, what do we got with colons on it? Those are my parameters. And notice it shows up again down here where we actually fill the parameter in. So the colon is just a syntax clue to this class that we're going to fill this in after the fact.
You understand why we do that, though?
Why we do the parameters?
Right.
Kind of.
Why?
Stop the SQL injection.
Stop the SQL injection. If you don't understand SQL injection, just say, this is more secure. Okay? You don't have to understand. I don't think I understand I know I don't understand what hackers do. Okay? And I've seen a couple of lame examples of SQL injection. Okay? Bottom line is, if we don't do it this way, our database is insecure.
Somebody will break it.
Somebody who's smarter than I am will find a way to hack in and put in their own user ID as an admin user at Lions Camp and wreak all kinds of havoc. So we don't want that. So we just keep going here, on and on and on.
Don't you only have to say set once?
Yeah, I think you're right. Now the gender shouldn't be a problem, unless, what are we getting for gender? You know, I should have left. I'm going back because I forget. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of help here. I'm going back to my cases view here. And instead of calling update employee, I'll put that back in a second, I'm going back to my print array. That'll give me a couple of things. It will give me the type of data I can expect for gender, which I'm pretty sure is going to be fine, but it'll also give you the field names and all the rest of that stuff. That's the cases, so I should be able to save. Okay, so gender has an M in it. I think that's all I have in my databases, so I should be fine. What I'm checking here is it male, is it M? If for some reason my form is sending me an M, but my database wants male, the easy solution is to go back and fix the form instead of trying to translate it here. So we got a first name, we got a last name, we got a gender, and I think I'm going to pause my recording and just type these so that you don't have to sit and watch me type. Okay, recording was off, but we got all this done. Right? And what we also did is did all these bindings in the recording, and we walked each one of these and said, is it there, and so on. This format phone is a function that we looked at. It's in the utilities. The G format is a general format, strips out everything and just gives us digits. So when you have phone numbers that are formatted by the GUI, we had a discussion about should the GUI unformat it or should we? It's easy here. It's probably easy in JavaScript as well, relatively easy using regular expressions. I'm doing it here just to be safe. Hire date's fine. Salary, we initially unformatted it, but then decided we didn't need it because in the new version, HTML5 versions of all of this stuff, can't put commas in our numeric fields. Can't put dollar signs in our numeric fields, so there's really nothing to unformat. The other thing that was kind of tricky is a checkbox. Remember that a checkbox, if it's unchecked, doesn't return anything. This one exists. If that was unchecked, it wouldn't return anything. That union member row wouldn't even be there. So the easy way to deal with true-false fields is just check to see if it's set. If it is set, that would be true. You make it true in the database. If it's not set, it makes it false in the database. We have to bind the where clause as well. Then we accidentally on purpose made errors just to see what SQL errors look like. If it starts with PDO, you'll get a pretty detailed description of what's wrong. Unfortunately, they will all point to this execute command and say that's what caused the problem. Really, it's up here someplace. Go dig it out. And if you read the instruction or you read the error message, you have a pretty good clue. First one we did before the recording started is took the S off and it said, never heard of this table, kind of like the SQL browser does. Then I mistyped one of the parameters down here and it said unknown parameter index or something like that. So this name was wrong. So you'll get a fair amount of help. Am I missing a who? Okay. So I have not, let's save this and let's take a quick look back and see if I refresh. All my errors are gone. When you're writing these, I recommend you do the same thing. Make sure, because you can see if there's any syntax errors, PHP errors, etc., SQL errors, you'll see them if you use this technique. I did a print array just to see what's in the request array. That helped me fill in my parameters, remember all my field names. Also check to see what might need to be unformatted. And I put a little message there saying we got back okay. Now what do we really want to have it happen when I hit save?
Go back to the list.
Go back to the list. We already know how to do that. So now let's go tweak that. That's in the cases. So here is my employee update while I'm testing. Print the array, call the function, echo save complete. I don't need the print array anymore because I'm convinced that data seems to be working all right. And when I'm done here, what I really want to do, is my header command again to go back to the list, the same header command that we've used over and over and over again. Last year somebody got so tired of that they wrote a function to say go back to list. And they sent the table name in, concatenated it here because every header location that has list does the same thing. Send the table name in and you call the function and go back to list employee. And it issues this command. But let me show you why it's very important that you test first before you put this header in. I'm going to go back to my employees. I'm going to make my error again. I'm going to refresh this page, okay, and then say save. Really? We know there's an error, right? We saw it. How come it didn't stop? The header command, this, let's go back to the code. This caused some SQL errors. Then we returned to the cases and said, yeah, whatever. Go back and do the employee list. And it basically is refreshing the page immediately, which wipes out all your error messages. So my advice is just comment, at the very least, comment this beast out and run it. You'll get a blank page. As long as there's no error messages on it, then it probably saved. So that's Volker's advice. Now let's fix it and test it. Let's go to Tammy. And down at the bottom, I can see that Tammy's ID number is 1010101. That's going to be important because when I go into my SQL Workbench to test this, I'm going to need her ID. It'll be a little easier to find her that way. Actually, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. I suppose I could say where her last name is Agent. But that'll help. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to mess stuff up here. I'm going to put S's on the end of all, or X's on the end of all my strings. I'm going to make Tammy a male, put her into the Coloma plant, change her phone number to a 666 on the end, change her birth date to this year if it'll let me. That's a bit much. And change her salary to $7,000. Whoops. $7? Nope. What's my limit? 15,000, really? All right, let's go to the minimum. And what about the birth date? Cannot be in the, oh. Okay. And she is no longer a union member. $15,000, that's what you get for right to work. I'm sorry, did I make, that's in the recording. My apologies. All right, so here's all the data. I think if I go backwards, I can see it again, but let's hit save. We're back. Notice, first of all, here's my first clue that things are working. Her name has changed. All right, so I can click on that, and there's all the data. I'm looking at the same stuff, males, X's, 2015, 15, uh-oh. Phone number looks good. Everything looks good except that union member.
Did you update it in the SQL?
Thought I did. Obviously, something's wrong, right? So here's union member equals union member. Here's union member is equal to the value of is set union member. If I uncheck it, so once again, now what I want, and now I can't see it.
Don't you have to say request array in the is set command?
No.
Okay.
Because a union member will also be defined from the extract. It won't be there.
Is union member a Boolean in the database?
Should be, but that's a good question. It's a valid question, at least. Now you can see where there could be 20 things wrong, right? Maybe it is saving it, and then when I bring it back in again, it's mangling it. That's another possibility. I don't think so. I think we're not saving it quite right.
Is that or something you just said?
Describe, what was it? Employees. Is it TBL still? I think so. No.
Yeah, didn't
It's a tiny int. That means it's a Boolean.
Oh, you already changed it.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Male, 1. Union members is 0. So maybe it is our display routine that's still a little goofy, because in the database it's right. So one more time, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go back to the list. I'm going to pick somebody else to really mess things up, and then I'm going to go back to the list and pick Tammy, and union member seems to be on all the time.
Everybody's.
How are you setting it?
Well, that's what's next, isn't it? But again, it makes my point. I honestly didn't know this. I don't know what was wrong. But by looking around in the database, by looking at my code, I'm figuring out that, you know, we could do this here real quick. Select stars where not union member. And then we can go find Hector Sanchez from my list here, and he's designated as a union member. So something's wrong with my display routine. So that's my view now that has a problem. Let's go fight with that.
Oh, there it is.
You found it?
Yeah.
Okay, here's union member, field value, details, hire date. Duh. Copy paste got me again. If the union member is set, give it to me. Otherwise, give me false as a default. Anybody else messed up here? Looks pretty good. Save that. Refresh Hector's page.
There it goes.
Oh.
Wow.
All right, one other thing. Then we'll call it a day. I think I can get this snuck in here yet. I'm going back now to my employees saving. What if these fields are optional? What have I just done if this is the empty string? I've stored the empty string in a database, which I've been harping on day one is not the best way to do it. From a user's perspective, it all looks the same. Okay. But realistically, we should be putting null in the database so the database is smaller. So which fields are optional? Well, let's find out here. According to my notes, the phone number, the hire date, and the salary are all optional. Now, the question I have is if there's no salary listed, there's a minimum salary. Is my JavaScript smart enough to say I can leave it blank?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so now what value is that? Is it 0? This is a text box that's defined as a number. You know what? I don't know.
You got your printer array?
What's that?
Got your printer array?
Yeah, my print. That's where I'm going. Yeah, I'm putting my printer rate back. That's how I learn stuff that I don't know. Go back to my employee cases and take this out, because if you print array, that'll wipe it right back out again. I could print array after it. No, that won't work either, because this basically refreshes the whole thing. So temporarily, let's take that out again, put in my print array, save.
And I'd leave phone, hire date, and salary blank. Get all three at once.
The date, yeah, that's not a bad idea. The date, can I wipe it out? Yes. And the phone number shouldn't be a problem. All right, now I've saved that. Let's go back. And there's my list. The phone number is blank. The salary seems to be blank. And the hire date seems to be blank. It's not 0. That was my question. Okay. They all seem to appear as empty strings is what this looks like. So, and if I just did a save, right? So I should be able to go back in here, and who did I just save? Was it Sanchez or was it still, it's Barnhoff? Okay, somebody new. I'm back in here, and let's go find last name Barnhoff. No. Barnhoff, as in German barnyard. Okay. Learn a little German today. Phone number is blank. Hi, ooh, that's what's in the database. That's not what the array is pointing to. Is not what the array is showing me. Same thing with the number. It's not what the array is showing me.
Because
The array is showing me the empty string, but when we put those into the database, we're getting zeros and these, and this is again why they're not null. Okay. So how do we fix that? Go to the right program, first of all. Okay. We come to the employees class, or the employees functions. That's the JavaScript. Employees PHP. And here we have to check for the empty string. What I normally do is use an inline if. If the phone double equals the empty string, then put null in the database, otherwise, give me the phone number. I think I just added another set of parentheses, maybe. Yep. If the hire date is the empty string, same stuff. See if it works. That's not a tertiary if, is it? It's supposed to be help me on her. Okay, here's Alex again. Let's just put an extra X on his name. Not that it matters much, but just so I can see when I'm looking in my database that this is the most recent version of my changes. Where did that come from? Oh, whoa, might have to modify my design again, right? It's blank here, but if it came in blank, it should be displaying blank, and it wasn't. It was turned into a number.
It wasn't, no, it didn't come in blank. It came in as 0 because when you saved the blank.
Oh, that's right.
converted
Okay,
Yeah.
so hopefully the null now will deal with that. We'll find out. Okay, these are all empty, empty, empty. So once again, I'm going in here. Now show me Alex's information again. There we go. Now if I go backwards, I get null. If I go to the list, Barnoff has got the X on Alex, and the salary is still blank. Not hard, but things you got to think about.
What was with the error up top when you saved them?
There was an error where?
When you save them, save the record.
Undefined. Oh, good. Hire date on line 84. Paying closer attention than I am. Line 84 would be here, little d. It's amazing that worked. So we got a null in the database. That's a good place to stop. When we come back next time, we're going to add the ability, I think we'll start with the ability to check for duplicate records. I'm going to try, maybe you guys are just going to do it on the fly on the recording. We're going to try to do some Ajax here and try to send the signal to the database saying, you got one of these? And if I have some time this weekend, I'll work on it, but I can't promise you that. And then we have to figure out how do we deal with new saves, because we can't do an update on new. So we steal most of this code and we change the update to insert into values and start plugging those things in there. So we need a different command, we need a different function, but the concepts are basically the same. You've got the idea here now. And same thing with all the unformats and nulls, by the way. When we insert, we want to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy this and change the query, but all the bindings will end up being the same. I'm also going to merge the cases. So what I normally do is employee update and employee new use the same form. Now some of you already split that up. That's fine. I'm going to show you how to do it with one. The tricky part of that is I have to actually make my form smarter because it sends back an update action. My form needs to be smart enough to say, no, the action is not update, the action is new, or insert. Okay, so I'm going to have employee update and employee insert are the same case. They both come to the same place. We look at the buttons, and we add one more if statement in here saying if it's a new record, then don't update, you insert instead. That's the only difference. There's a little work on the form, but in here, the only difference, we still, if it's cancel, we still go back. If it's delete, we still go back. The only thing that's different is if there's no errors, we don't always update. We insert. And the header happens regardless too, because when we insert a new record, they should show up on the list right away. So there's not much here, but there's a little tweaking that needs to go on in the form to make the form smart enough to know that it's inserting a new record versus updating an existing one. And that's not too bad. Okay, so killer.